Greetings in the name of the Most High. Okay, so just working my way back from Rome, finally in the States. Good to be home, but it was great to be in Rome, because the first thing that I thought when I was there, and we were in the heart of the city, really near the Vatican and near the, it's just a wall-to-wall concrete jungle, really, of ancient relics, and just every kind of humanity you can imagine, all the languages, crazy drivers. But you cannot imagine, I was listening to people talking about Rome falling. And I thought, Rome falling, it fell. And yet look at the city now. Look at how big the city is. Look at how culture has been maintained. The fall is a historical event, but maybe it did fall, and there's another political system. But basically, Rome is this bustling place, and you really do feel like you're at the heart of civilization. That you're basically at the birthplace, of all the books and all the, and all the thinking and the philosophy and the bringing of together of the civilization of the West. And it's all good, but the thing is, it's so strong. And of course, I love Italians usually, because I love that very warm greeting. It was just a lot of love in the room there for me, and I didn't expect it. I didn't expect that we'd get along so well. We just were like, I'm moving over here. I like love. I don't like hate and scorn and ignorance and the Italians are, like I say, they're very all the ones involved in this film festival were very talented and very astute on cinema, which was, the word cinema we don't even use. That's like for a university course now, cinema. There's no cinema anymore in the world. It's movies. And so because it's got such a wide meaning, such a broad meaning, the movies don't really have a significance like they had that they had before. In other words, you'd have your movies, but then you'd have your cinema. Big releases like Francis Ford Coppola, Godfather or something. That's like cinema and a huge movie, and inspired, of course, by Italy and Sicily and the whole Italian immigration into the United States, and then how that went. But anyway, like I said, it was just a really good time. They gave me an award that I guess it's kind of like a something honoring my life as a writer or something, and it was a top award that they give every once in a while. And I was, of course I felt I didn't really deserve it, but compared to some of the greats that have had that before, and but there I was in the middle of just a wonderful time, and I just love talking about writing, and so and I got to share my story a little bit more about the documentary coming out, The Dark Side of Society. It was featured there, and I watched the screening with the group of Italians that had basically they had subtitles, for the whole thing. I met the guys who did the subtitles. They were really excited that this is their first major feature with subtitles. And so anyway, there's an American release planned through Uncorked Entertainment. And Uncorked, they handle lots of indie films and indie docs. I can't tell you much else about them except the guy that owns the shop there, that owns Uncorked, is a lovely person, really smart, and just I think, probably the best person for releasing this controversial. Well, it is controversial because, I mean, and now okay. So for you people that want a podcast, now it begins. Now it begins. So enjoy this. So I'm going over my own history and watch the film, and I'm seeing this people weighing in on the Film Society in the beginning, then people weighing in on satanic abuse, ritual abuse, and of course psychological abuse that kids go through, especially if you're in a powerful family like I was, which is, by the way, the whole thing is decimated. It's gone now. There is no family. And I think that's a punishment of the Lord. I believe that's a chastisement for that all the families that were fed on power and false pretenses. And I'm sorry to put it that way, but there's a lot of bullshit. Once there's a hero, people keep adding on to it. So I guess from the patriarch, my grandfather, and his, what he built for himself was, impressive, but it was by the rules, by the book. He was, a warmonger. He was intolerant of other people that saw things differently or that might have a different point of view than he did about country, war, whatever. He was like off with their heads if they don't get along with it, And that's okay. That's all been, exposed. That wasn't my purpose. My purpose was just to survive, being, destroyed with hospitalizations and murder attempts. And how then I, suppressed all that. And then eventually it all came back out when I started writing screenplays. And so I wrote about what was driving me, about my own trauma. And it's funny what happened when I was writing, and I don't think this is in the doc, but as I was writing, I felt that the people that I was kind of inspired to write about, that became like characters or caricatures, that that people could see me while I was writing. They could see I was writing, that I was going to get in trouble, that I was going to get killed. I was bringing up all kinds of panic attacks and all kinds of things in writing. So I stuck with it. And the reason I believe that I wound up being in a screenwriting, professional screenwriting situation isn't because I was so dedicated toward it, because I really haven't been. I've been kind of like all over the place, just trying to get my head screwed on straight. And then, we ran into problems in LA and had to drop out of the whole scene, and then eventually came back when my daughter died. But so I haven't had this dedicated, what you might call a dedicated a disciplined approach toward achieving a goal, a career, or anything like that. It's been I just kind of threw myself into the ring and just did the best I could. And I told them some unusual things, like about the old Bride of Reanimator movie, and how we wrote that script in one night. So probably shouldn't have. Well, anyway, we explained that, we had scripts, we had 15 different versions of it, but then the director decided to throw it out the day before shooting, or the end of pre-production, just about shooting time. And now we had to rewrite it in one night. And then that's what got shot. Just to show them that you can be organized, you can dot your I's, cross your T's, you can have the perfect format, you can study screenplay formatting and have everything just right. but obviously it's that thing that goes into it is, it's unknowable. We don't know why something is good or not. Most of the time, what people do in LA is they read it, and someone asks them, how'd you like it? What'd you think of that script? And then they say, well, I don't know. I'm the only one that's read it. They have no opinion, right? Because they don't know. And they're unwilling with the cost of being wrong. They're unwilling to stick their neck out and say, oh, this is great, you should make it. No, I'm about readers now. And so there is a lot to that. And then there was some older folks there that were, definitely older than me. And they were being celebrated for their work. And one was a great set designer, and other people that, they're all artists, and they're all just really, what I loved about them is they're in it for art's sake. Sure, I think they'd love to be, well-funded and famous. In fact, the festival actually needs funds, and they need to be raising funds, and they should, because it's great people behind it. So that's what I have to say about that. That's where I've been. It's been the Q&A I did with our producer, my friend Loris, who speaks 7 languages. A lot of them speak 4 or 5 languages, just automatically. So he translated and I told, who was it? Larry, somebody told me that they all speak English, so no problem. And then later I found out, well, they may speak some English, but they need a translator. They need, and so we had kind of like, it was sort of like a talk show thing where I had Loris to one side of me and me, and then I'd talk for a while, and then look over at him, and he'd say, okay, stop. And then he would go ahead and tell the audience. And they got to ask some questions too. And the time went by really fast, but it was a good time had by all. The love in the room was intoxicating. It's the kind of love I wish I had here in my own country. I don't. Have to tell you, I'm kind of an orphan here. I'm kind of disowned by Hollywood and all that. And of course, it doesn't help that I'm yapping my flapper, And but anyway, it was a very interesting time, and very very needed, because I feel boosted, and I feel like ready to settle down and get to work on whatever. And a lot of the fear about going to a foreign country and speaking to a people of another tongue about traumas I went through in life, and how I became a writer because of that. I remember I used to write poetry to process trauma, and that worked very well too. The only problem is that you're the only one. It's like a diary. You're the only one that sees it. I needed to write publicly somehow, some way. I don't know what the reason is, in order to deal with it, if you will. So that's, the prophetic thing I took away from Rome was, the personal thing was, that you're a lot stronger than you think. That was like a word that kept echoing in my head. I'm a lot stronger than I think. And then the other thing was that civilization is not falling. When you see Rome, it's like, you're like, oh, there's no way. This is thriving, teeming with life. This is not going away, And but still, it was good to be back in America, where I have a ATM machine that works. It's draining me. But yeah, it was really very interesting cross section of humanity. I would just tell you this: in my survey, I would say nobody is thinking about nukes. Nobody is thinking about war in Ukraine. No one's thinking about Russia. There's a lot of people that are secretly really happy about Trump, but they don't want to say it publicly because they work at this hotel I'm in, in the States here in Miami. And they don't want to say it out loud, but they're like, they want the war over with. They want prosperity, and they want Well, you know what they want. They want a chance to make a living and take care of their kids. And, I don't think people have many more needs now because people are very busy. They're here on the beach on the weekend, but it's not very crowded, at South Beach location I'm at. It's nice. It's beautiful to be able to be in the sun. But there's even a cold chill here in Florida. It's weird, you know. But no, they're not concerned with any of that. Most people are not. They might think about it in passing, but most people are not like on their way to listen to the next Joe Rogan or Alex Jones or the Gateway Pundit or get involved in Breitbart or any of that stuff. They're kind of in transition, I would say. That for the most part, people, in my opinion, are very they don't want the blame for the last 2 decades of complete disaster in America, which comes from basically the globalist element trying to overthrow sovereign countries to have an open border society. They don't think that deep. And then when you get in, and also hotels are graded. If you get in a 3 or 4 star hotel, you're going to get corporate slaves. They're going to toe the party line. You know what I mean? They're not going to say anything that could jeopardize them on public media and social media. But as you get higher up, you start getting into entrepreneur class and people that are more independent thinkers, and they're more likely to say whatever they feel like saying. But the bulk of people in the middle are still, in my opinion, afraid to speak. If they have an opinion at all, I actually doubt they have an opinion. I don't think they've formed an opinion. I think they're basically looking for cues to do what they are told to do, because that's what all they do is they do what they're told, and to conform as best as they can to the shifting sands in order to keep that paycheck coming. And it's basically it. It's basically like a survival thing. They're afraid that they'll lose it if they're real with you, or if they're actually functioning human beings, which most of them are not. They're just, they're the opposite of what they were made to be. They were made to be, free thinkers. We're made to use our individual talents, whatever God gave us. And there's plenty of room for that, but they won't do it because the corporation has stepped. I think the corporation is really, the political class. It doesn't matter whether you call them left, right, or straight. I mean, they're warmongers, so that's a right-wing thing, right? So and then they're left, they're Marxists. They want to throw away everything that was before and rebuild it from scratch, build back better and all that, which is right out of the Karl Marx playbook. And they took over the Democrat Party, but they also took over half the Republican Party that was the country club Republican, the sort of idly rich, the kind of idly rich sort of Reagan generation. They're basically, all upset that Trump would take over the party and make it for working people, for people that work an actual job and actually do something, which is more and more. Well, it won't be rare in the future, but it has been, almost eliminated. And of course, the immigration thing was intolerable, and the debt is not payable, except I think there's going to be definitely a scheme to pay back debt with Bitcoin that I believe is going to be probably successful. And I'm predicating all this on, not having some disaster before the inauguration. The people in power now, I wouldn't call them any party like Democrat, whatever. They'd say they're basically, many of them are career criminals. I know I grew up in a family of criminals. So I understand, there is no law that applies to them. And so now there may be some trials and tribulations. I'm hearing a lot of the word in Nuremberg getting passed around. And and I think that Trump and people, they realize that they either going to have to play hardball And you know what that is, and that's very violent. But it may have to be hardball. And it's funny, the people in power, they try to make it about abortion and trans rights and LGBTQ and all that. It's got nothing to do with any of that. It's got to do with power. It's got to do with control. And I want to see power to the people, not to the state, not to the super state, not to the Nazi state, not to the communist state. I want to see it to the people. And that's, of course, I always want that because I'm an artist. Anyone who doesn't want that well, they can pretend to be an artist. They can get all kinds of tats and piercings, and you look on the street, oh, that's an artist of some kind. Then you talk to them, and they have this like programmed ideology that they picked up at a junior college, and from some butthurt professor that's never done anything but lived in an ivory tower, right? And is teaching them to be ungovernable and burn down the thing, and the Indians got a raw deal, and all that, and that's all out of the propaganda playbook. It's actually what's sad about Americans is how easily they fall for the propaganda and how they just don't do any thinking. They're just very, I want to say spoiled in a way, because they're acting like spoiled children. Many of them, they're so sure of themselves. They're so sure of the way things are. They're so sure of their world. And that's why I think they hate Trump so much, is because the establishment turned on Trump, because he represents, the end of the old crony political crime syndicate. And that crime syndicate's been very, very good to people that decide to go along, make a deal with the devil, sell your soul in exchange for a paycheck. And now that's being threatened. And they're like, anyone that takes away my pay, it's all about money. Anything that takes away the paycheck, you know what I mean? It's just like, that's persona non grata. Whether it's Trump or whether it's some other guy, or if cleaning up the system will hurt your paycheck, then you're gonna vote to go to war rather than clean up the system. You want to be in the corruption. You want to be corrupt. And why you want to be corrupt? Because it's like a spoiled child. You get anything you ask for, you get. Now that was the deal. You get material goodies, you get promotions, you get. I could see the whole division of, like, I flew on Swiss Air, which is a really great airline, I think, in terms of, but they still have like a first class, a business class, and a coach. And when you get to first class, it may cost you $5,000 more than your ticket, something like that. But it's the same seating. There's really not much different, except they bring you more drinks, But people are just really vying. They want to move up. And, and I think now we're going through, as America, a state of reflection. And most people, if they have a conscience, they want to come clean. They want to do it the right way. They want to treat others with respect and be treated with respect. And I believe that's the society that, we should have. Now, I'm not talking, we of course, we shouldn't tolerate any of the things that people that think independently are accused of: racism, homophobia, blaphobia, transphobia, xenophobia, whatever Hillary Clinton's list was for deplorables. That moniker goes to anybody who thinks freely, not political class, not Trump followers, but anybody that actually thinks gets labeled that. And people that are slaves and servicing the criminals, to me, it's like they get a free ride. Well, that free ride is over. It's over. But America is acting like it's not over. You see what I mean? The people are acting like it's the same as it was 3 months ago. And they're just absolutely, outraged. And they think that the reason celebrities are leaving, and the rats are jumping off the ship, is because they're disgusted with Trump. That's not why they're leaving. They're leaving because there's criminal charges for pedophilia and child trafficking. And that's a lot of it. And then there's trafficking of everything else. I mean, Is there a line between the music business and organized crime? I suppose if you decide not to play it Diddy's way, you have a lot less opportunity, wouldn't you? Probably you wouldn't be famous. So, and there's always a temporary devil. I guess Diddy's the devil now. It was Epstein, and be somebody else later. But I think people are finally, everyone knows that. Everyone knows what's going on. And I think that people are tired of it. I think it falls of its own weight because I actually do have this belief that in the end, good will trump evil. Good will out over evil in the end. It just seems to always finally come around to being, okay, good is and right and just is going to, I'm not saying it's going to beat by a long shot. I'm just saying it will eventually beat criminality, corruption, and evil, man's evil toward man without justice. I think there's a lot of people that want justice, but they want to get it at the end of a gun. Well, anyway, that's another topic. But that's what I see in Italy. Contrasting the two, everybody's very willing to talk about politics and Trump and a new reset position that the world is going through right now, and justice. And I would say that you're more likely to strike up a conversation and anywhere on European soil more so. You may not like, there may be an argument, there may be people that argue. When someone, see, what I like about Europe is that when someone's a communist, it. They'll come up to you and they'll argue with you that their way is better than your way. And that's refreshing. That's all I want. But when in America, they're very surreptitious. They're very sneaky. They come up to you and they're like, well, I'm a Democrat, or I'm a this or that. And really, then they're hiding the hammer and sickle. They got the flag, going, and and what they're planning on doing with immigration is replacement of bad people. That is, people that won't go along with communism. And they're working in industries. They're working in law enforcement. They're working as lawyers. They're working around the clock to get their way and to use attrition. In other words, Americans not having babies. And then this open immigration to finally replace everybody with one party that will basically rule not just America, but the world. And that's where you get Klaus Schwab and eat the Z-bugs and buy up all the farmland like Bill Gates has done. Bill Gates should be number one. The land should all be confiscated today and given back to the people, whatever, or given to, sharecroppers or something. But all his land should be gone. His wealth should be gone. It should be confiscated. And he should be up on charges, mass murder charges, and he should be in a supermax prison the rest of his life, period, beginning today. And that goes for, I don't know how many hundred, maybe thousands of others that have been guilty of feeding the public poison. Feeding them, just in the foods we have, just like Bobby Kennedy is saying, all the different ingredients have made people sick and obese, and so it has to stop. Because someone would win. In other words, America would lose in the end, but they wouldn't be here. They'd all be unhealthy and dead. And then somebody would win. And that's still what's going on. And that is literally what's going on Earth. Americans are still reluctant to admit blame, reluctant to admit fault, and they're still projecting, like Kamala Harris did on her campaign. Everything was Trump's fault and he's Hitler. When, we used to have a debate class, and what we would do in debate class, it's like as soon as someone uses the name Hitler, they lost the argument. It's absurd. People start laughing, but people here are so stupid or dumbed down. I guess that's a better way of putting it. That they actually take it seriously. And then, celebtards who have been, enlisted to promote global leftism or whatever, and they'll be paid millions of dollars for doing it. Some of them have woken up and realized they've just been duped. They've been used to sell a program that basically is going to kill their friends and family and kids. Others haven't. If you look at, I saw a picture of the sons and daughters of celebrities, all of them trans by 6 years old. Boys dressed up as girls, girls dressed up as boys, and this is so and so, and this is so and so. They're household names, and every one of them had their kids trans. Okay, so what that means, because that's impossible. That's impossible. Statistically impossible. Would never happen. The reason it's happening, it proves my point. It proves me 100% right. That they have sold not just their souls, but they sold their children into it. So that not for them, not for the kids, for them, so they could get that next movie role or that next whatever. So they've done it to their kids in order to stay famous. And I think that's one of the ugly things about America. And, it's interesting. That's one of the things about America that makes America win, that dogged determination to achieve a goal. That's Trish back there. You can see her in the frame. Oh. Yeah, she's back there. Supposed to be on camera. No, I didn't. Well, I'm explaining that. I just saw you there. I didn't pay attention to it. You want me to stop this? No. You look good. Can you turn the camera a bit back? Thank you. Okay, so she's back there. We're in a little tiny room where you got a great view of the ocean breeze, and it's a little bit of stacked up sardines here, but it's I wanted to be at the I thought the beach might help my condition. What's my condition? What's wrong with me? Everything. Everything you can think of is wrong with me. So I'm hoping to just. Everything is also fabulous. Yeah, it's fine. The thing is, I just feel like health is. What I'm learning about health is it's not just holistic. It's like you have to treat the entire person. That includes your, psychology. And with me, it's like the only way to treat the whole person is to start with God. Give glory to God for all the good things in your life. But it goes beyond that. It's more like a knowing that whatever happens to me, it's okay. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be paranoid about the germs on the plane might get me. They might get me, and they might kill me, and that would be perfectly okay. Whatever God wants, whatever my path is, I will not die one day earlier than planned, and I will not die one day later. I will die in exactly my day. And sometimes I wish that day would come a little faster. Lately, my heartbreak of America, it's really, I join a lot of very serious thinkers and writers on all sides of the aisles, left, right, whatever, that have done some real thinking on all these issues. And I think all of our hearts are broken. And it's just seeing how many people would take a shortcut. And then once they take the shortcut, how many people would lie to keep that shortcut, which is a lie, in place? How many people are still lying about Satan, knowing that that's the deal they made, but there's no such thing. It's like that you won't find even one person that would admit that. And so it's really sad. It's like it's a nation with their nose so stuck so high in the air. It's when you travel abroad, people make fun of Americans. I hope you understand that. Well, before you get all prideful and like, wow, we got to stand up as American. No, it's not like that. It's it's for being petulant, for assuming superiority, for being the center of attention that people sometimes do in the presence of other languages and people who are speaking another language, by imposing your own ignorance into a situation because you're an American. And in some parts of the world, there's no room for ignorance. People are educated. They know what's going on. And you can't fool them with, platitudes and glib responses. You just can't do it. It's just, I'm sorry. They're too smart for that. And so they say, well, I talked to one guy and he said, I should really go to Europe and do just a tour and just put all these people on camera, just interview all these people, because it's really quite fascinating doing a survey. But I did talk to the hotel guy. He's a musician, and he was checked us in. And we stayed in an old hotel called the River Palace Hotel. I highly recommend it. It's in the middle of Rome. And you wouldn't even know it's a hotel. You could drive by it and miss it. You know what I mean? It's just like a couple of doors that open, and then you're in this other world, off a narrow street. And but it's just really, something. It's really interesting. And so we were having this conversation about music and about my theory about writing, and the subject eventually landed on America versus Italy. Okay. And so his assessment of America and Americans is we're young. We're still teenagers. We don't have the old world. I guess we don't have the European ennui. We don't have that. And that's a world weariness that you can pick up in literature. You can pick up in all kinds of in music and culture. Americans are really talky and just assuming they're the center of the conversation, and they get that that imposition. A lot is changing as America's gone through troubles, but it's still there. It's not like the ugly American post World War II. We saved your ass, so we own this place. That's not it. That's gone. That's gone. It's more just and I don't want to say xenophobia, but it's like a need to assert your Americanism, if you will, your self-centeredness, okay, in the midst of, rather than adapting to, say, another language or other culture, another custom, whatever. And I remember I'm guilty of this myself. They were interviewing, they did a Q&A of me for Dark Side of Society. And I had to sit I couldn't go up to the front because I didn't have my little wheelchair, and I wasn't sure about the slope getting down there. So I stayed in my seat, and they brought the microphones over, and they brought the people over to film it. They're filming, these interviews, and they were, asking me a question I would answer, and I would keep going, and then they're saying, "Wait, no, wait, Zeph, stop. I have to translate." And it was almost as if I was unaware of that translate. You know what I mean? I was just only aware of my English, had lost awareness of the fact that it had to be translated into Italian. And it just brought back that moment of that ugly American, just kind of being, American centered. You know what I mean? In other words, I'm really in control. I'm not in control. He had to translate. So I learned that. I didn't know that. I had never done anything like that before. So I learned that. And then when we finally did the Q&A, the master class that I taught, I was able to, wait for Loris. I had gotten my signals down, you know what I mean? I knew to, and then wait for Loris and then just try to really be as open and honest as I could about writing and about life and about whatever things people want to know about. And it worked out great, I thought. I mean, everybody got something out of it. And, they were all just really, I've never had that kind of respect before for being a writer. I've never been appreciated before. A real writer is someone that works for Fox or works for, has got a deal over at, at Paramount or something. And the independents are looked down upon in America. But independents in Rome are not looked down upon at all, but looked up at. It's an important thing. And when you think about it, all the original filmmakers, I mean, even Coppola himself, you might say mainstream, but he began as putting his own house up on the market, and he could lose he had a vineyard and a house up in Napa, and he rolled the dice. He put it all on the line, and to make a movie, and to prove he still was an indie at heart. Only indies do things like that. An indie meaning the true artist, who's not on the corporate tit, who's not sitting there being well, you know how it is, just being treated.
Darling,
yeah.
Did you show them your award?
No, I do you have it?
Yeah.
I'm going to show you the award. Well, this is a visual medium. We can do something visual, not just have me, Okay, so now there it is. Okay, so they gave me this award, and I'm going to show it to you. And
It's a special award.
Yeah, I was very, very humbled by this. I was, I'm used to, having to defend myself and having to say, I exist too. I'm trying to do something myself, oh yeah, right. Fuck you, and I'm just like, thank you. What a great country. But, it's that way for everybody. If you want to go independent, you're going to take some shit, and that's fine. You're not going to be like forgiven like most of the artists are when you say something stupid before the public. Okay, so here it is. I wonder if they can see that. It looks backwards.
Oh.
I don't know.
Let me see. No, this is correct.
No, but look at it on the screen. Look at it on the screen.
On the screen, it looks backwards. Perhaps we look backwards as well.
We are backwards. Anyway, so even though it's somewhat backwards, this is it. And what it says is the Palatola d'Argento. And I suppose it's I'm not completely sure what that means, but it's Laura's told me that was an important award, like a
important director in the Italian.
Was it after Dario Argento? Dario Argento was a famous horror director. He was is that a
Palatola d'Argento.
We'll say you Italians out there, if you're listening, write me back and tell me what
it's the award of a great director, and you're a great director.
So that's from, okay, so a big part of the festival had been Dario Argento, who was not, I don't know if he was the founder, but he was there every year. Like, he's one of the I guess he would be one of the founders of the festival, and he's a classic. You know what I mean? He's you don't see Suspiria without saying Dario Argento's Suspiria, right? You see and he did the classic, and so he's very beloved. So I just, if it has that name on it, if it's the something of Argento and that means him, that's fine.
Yes.
Otherwise,
and
it's still cool.
Our producer, Loris Kirchie, he brought Suspiria to the United States.
Right. So our producer brought Suspiria, the original, to the U.S. So I guess the U.S. didn't get Suspiria till later, but I'm very, our producer, Dolores is very humble, and he just doesn't. He says it's like no big deal,
And he knows everybody.
Yeah, he knew everybody, and it was good for him to. He hadn't been there in 10 years, and so it was good for him to. He used to be one of the managers of the festival, or what do you call one of the people that worked there. So he was among friends, and it was good to meet. He introduced me to a bunch of people, and hopefully we'll exchange music and thoughts. And I got to get on that while I guess I'm here with a jet lag right now. And the beauty of my hours has been that I stayed up on the plane so that when I got here, I actually went to bed at night and got up in the morning. So that helped me to get. I haven't really felt. I guess if I haven't felt much jet lag so far, I really went through it in Rome, where I had days where because with my illness, my problem with my physical problems, my internal problems, jet lag plus that, just I'm done till I recover somewhat, and I've got to recover more if I'm going to eventually do another film. Anyway, so this is kind of an overview. It gave me a chance to look back at my life, and I guess the one regret that I would have, and you probably want to know this if you know me, that I wish I had worked harder, I guess, and worked more. But then again, a lot of things I really worked for, that I really was dedicated or disciplined for, they didn't come through. It was like it was denied. And then, and then this thing, I've it's just been more of a, writing has been more of a, even assignments have been more of a joy because it's something that I just naturally do. And to be honored like that is, well, I'm not worthy. I just don't feel like I am compared to people like that. So, but things can change. Maybe by now, maybe at some point, people in America will appreciate what I've done and what I do with podcasting and what I do with whatever, however I've tried to process this whole nightmare. I mean, the other thing I've been thinking about is, unfortunately, the documentary coming out at a time when the Menendez brothers are going to be released, and then having a kind of a similar story, but without the murders, but with the boy becoming the victim, and then seeing such a pristine family with such great press reviews and all that, and just to trash it. It's like, well, then don't abuse children. And that, if you don't want your reputation, listen, you people that think that way, here you go. And no, we don't commit Harry-Carry just because we don't go along with your shit. If you're going to abuse children, you're going to pay the price. And if you're going to indulge in Satanism and human sacrifice and murders, you're going to pay the price at some point. And so you could be listed as a prestigious family and war heroes and being on the board of 30 corporations and everything like my grandfather and my father family business. And right now they're all dead and all the businesses were gone and they're all sold. And whatever fortune they had was already spent on my father's illness. So everything is as it should be. And the fact that they're mentioned is that I know that they would be horrified to hear that that we say that my grandfather was. There are rumors of his connection to organized crime, but it's I'm sorry, it's there, it's in the record. There's nothing I can do about it. Then I would say don't meet with gangsters then, and don't the thing that was so ugly about, I think, meeting with the gangsters was the idea of not wanting to be seen as to sully his perfect reputation. So trying to meet during the day somewhere where there wouldn't be any prying eyes. this is hypocrisy on a scale that's beyond. Be like, I can't even get into it, but to run a place like Los Angeles, if that's what you want to do, there's going to be a bunch of dead bodies, right? There's going to be dirty work, right? Don't say his name. Yeah. So there was a thing like, if you say his name, you might wind up with cement shoes up in Terminal Island. So and there was some truth to that. But anyway, the truth's come out now, and no, they weren't spectacular people. They weren't the best people. The war hero thing was. I have all the letters and pictures from the battlefield. And so I'd say you could have given that award to any of those people there, but because he was the son of this prominent guy running civil defense for Los Angeles, he got the award, and he got the ship and the award and the honor. But in the end, I'm sorry, again, the system that we give the moniker of the elite to, the war machine system, the military industrial complex. These men built that, okay? And they built it to get rich off the blood. And they don't know anything about, say, Japanese culture. Just kill them. They don't know anything about Germans. Just kill them. They don't. That all Germans are Nazis and all Japanese are, warmongers, and that's therefore we have to stage an attack on Pearl Harbor, a false flag event to get us into the war, which is disgusting. So yes, the heroes of World War II, while all these people keep celebrating it on Fox News and stuff, it's absurd, folks. I'm sorry, if you served in the military, great, but the structure of it is absurd. All the medal. Look at okay, a guy like Mike Milley. Look at all these awards on his jacket and ribbons and medals. This guy could never made it out of being a buck private if he didn't learn to do knee time. It's just do not start with how great man is with me. Do not create celebrities around me. Do not start with that Diddy shit. Stop it. People are people. If somebody has a talent, then that should be appreciated for that, and that's great. If not, they should be let go. It's very simple. Not, well, we really like this guy, so we're going to push the good ones, the ones who deserve to have a career in bullshit, in bad movies. We're going to in shitty, semi-pornographic novels that that in the old days, the women who were so prim and proper, they go on cruises because it wasn't really for the masses back then, and they would all bring these like trashy B novels, which were little more than basically, porn for women, and they'd be intently reading, very scholarly, like they're really serious book, and they were just like a living joke. Joan Collins. It's I think that era. I don't think people read anymore, so I think that's past. But anyway, I'm tuning in with you. We survived it. The trip. It was very busy. The jet lag was very severe in Rome, but it's easing up here, and I should be back in my studio, and we should just continue. I think if there's a lot of personal issues, there's a lot of personal things that came up along the way, that occur to you when you're 35,000 feet in the air, or when you're landing, and hopefully the pilot won't screw it up. You know what I mean? That flash before your eyes. And the one that kept flashing before my eyes is the and I'm not going to justify this, but you've seen Rome, therefore civilization continues. You saw Rome, okay, God, I showed you Rome, so you would understand. The hysteria about World War III and being nuked is it's also an absurd idea because at that point it's game over anyway. It doesn't matter. It's like having a sudden heart attack. There's nothing you can do about it. Goodbye. You'll be missed. So that's what I would say about it. I would just say that the seeing Rome was in some way a reaffirming that the God's not going to pull the plug on this. Now, Rome may have fallen when it fell. I certainly didn't find Rome to be a Sodom and Gomorrah. I found Rome to be very, like anywhere else, just people of fallen condition. They're very polite. They're very dutiful, doing their jobs and their things during the day. And they want to let their hair down at night and go crazy, cheat on each other and do all that. Well, that's become pretty standard. And where did that get us? Where did that kind of like do what you feel get us? It's but I must say though that I'd listen outside because I had a terrace. We had a terrace, a rooftop terrace. So we were on the terrace, and at night, at 10 o'clock at night, it's all quiet. They're not out, and we're on a busy street with lots of restaurants and different things. They're not out partying and stuff. It's not wild Rome. It's hard-working Rome. They're working hard. Whatever problems they have, one thing I would say, just too many people, too many cars. There's no way I would even attempt to drive there.
And the streets are so small.
The streets are narrow, and people, there's an Italian way of driving, and I'm just not ready to learn that. But as far as like the Antichrist and the Vatican, I just don't have a reading on the Vatican for you at this point. I don't have a vibe, a feeling, or a prophetic utterance about the Vatican that it's going to be the birthplace of the Antichrist and and the Dark Pope and all that. I know there's a lot of lore about that, but I didn't feel led. I just felt led to see all the people and all the things and all the motorcycles and all the cars and all the the maids and the waiters, the guy checking us in, and the film people, the cinema people, the old guys, the old masters.
Yeah, and there's artists, painters.
Speak up there, Josh.
Pardon me?
Speak up a little.
Oh, there was also painters honored, and you could just go up and talk to them and look at their work. Beautiful. It was beautiful.
Insane work.
We got given a painting
from Luca.
Yeah, for a scene in Suspiria.
Right, he did. Yeah, a scene in Suspiria. So it's
pretty cool.
Yeah, I would say it's very life affirming in terms of belief in God. I don't see many people believing in God, much. If they do, they're keeping it to themselves. And so when they say the biggest revival of all time for Jesus is underway right now.
Signed by Luca.
Yeah. Is Muccio, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Spelled the same as Elon Musk.
So let's give him some.
I have to get it framed.
Well, this is great. You bent it now.
Well, I had to protect it by rolling it up tightly.
So that's like not too shabby, right?
It's very cool. Okay.
And anyway, onward. I'm
address to
as
Zeph-
far as
address to Zeph Daniel.
back in the States it's concerned, I take my temperature at the airport, okay, and I wouldn't be busting open the champagne bottles just yet. Okay, I think there's trouble ahead. There's more to be revealed. There's more struggle. There may even be more war. There may be a civil war, but I mean, it's not. Oh, we're home free now. It's not quite that. We could be home free, but you guys are all going to have to pray a lot and start spreading the gospel more. We're home free, but Jesus needs more. He needs more of an audience. That's up to us. We're maybe having a blessing, but to whom much is given, much is expected. And blessed are the peacemakers, and so there will be a benefit from that. But I would just always, well, whenever I haven't been confident on things, I seem to do very well. Whenever I start, pre-celebrating something, I always get a pie in my face. It just happens every time. I don't know why I keep doing it. But we all want something good to feel good about, and I think, the world going peaceful would be enough for me, and that would be an answer for prayer for me. Is to stop having bodies just blown to smithereens for no good reason except some ego of some guy doing money laundering. I really, it makes me wonder why even be born. And I've tried to find reasons, to be born. That if you can make a contribution to making, maybe could it ever be turned around? And I think half of us is evil, so no, it can't be turned around. We have to learn to cope with evil. Well, the first step is to admit it's there. And then if they start sending the gang stalkers after you, you know what I mean? There's little stalkers here and there. We've had them, I guess they're called Karens now. We've had them even here at the hotel where they're spying on us. They're spying on us, and we're just watching them. Like, are you going to go poof into thin air? Like one time we had feds we were dealing with, and they look like feds or men in black, and they just went poof like that, just bam, invisible. No one believed us when we told them the story.
That was in
Burbank. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Trish and I are both.
But we all saw it.
We all saw it, but people denied it. Yeah. They just disappeared into thin air. Boom, gone. So
I basically told them to.
So the whole UFO thing, they're trying to, kind of as a Hail Mary pass, they may roll that out, but they're not ready. And they're going to get a lot of people calling bullshit. A lot of people are going to look at that and just say, this is like 1940s Hollywood effects or something, go fuck yourself. I'm not going to buy into it. Yeah, but they're getting abducted and they're being taken through the walls, just like John Mack said. It's like, so what? And they're using holograms. So what? Well, the military-industrial complex is at war with the people. That's correct. You've actually deduced the right thing. So we're going to continue, folks. That's my feeling coming back into the States is we're going to, continue to press the truth and continue to look for the good stories. And for me, just, be involved in whatever I'm involved in and do it to the best of my ability and hope that it all comes out okay. But I'm certainly I'm not saying poo-poo anything. Trump and all that's bringing a lot of optimism to people. I'm not saying except people that have sold their souls and are basically robots. But I'm not, I'm not in that game. I'm not, he's made a lot of mistakes when he was there before, and I'm hoping he doesn't make the same mistakes again. mistakes that got us really into a real bind with Biden and you know, the whole lockdown thing and all that happened was a travesty. And he said, now here's another chance. I hope he can prove himself.
I think he will.
Well, that's good. And with that, I'll bid you shalom. I don't have anything. There's nothing substantive except that it's more of the same. And will we get to January 20th? I think there could be some incidents. There are things that, like I said before, sudden things unexpected would happen that you wouldn't, but somehow we keep going. So we'll see. We'll see you next time.
The idea that perhaps God himself would blur the edges of the written word to shake awake the sleeping to the word that already dwells in them. The word that already dwells in them. Hello, love. I remember you from the last configuration. And here you are in my current transmogrification. Hello, love. I remember the past. Now it's just a blast, a frequency in a wire, or has it gone much higher? Hello, love, where is your humanity? You're out of time. Don't be just much, 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 where is your humility in this density's new allocation? Oh no, it's a frustration, but it was meant to divide. The word was written on your heart a long time ago. Hello, love. We're in need of communication, regardless of the station you might be listening to now.